Hi class, this is Professor Vierson and I want to go over a comprehensive problem that covers the capital investment decisions and using the time value of money from chapter 12. And basically this chapter talks about the four popular methods of capital budgeting and the analysis of it. And so it's just a simple little problem where in this case Franklin Restaurant this company is considering two possible expansion plans. Plan A, they're going to open 8 smaller shops for 8,740,000. Expected cash inflows of 1,550,000. No residual value at the end of 9 years. Plan B, 3 larger shops at 8,140,000. They have expected cash flows of 1,050,000. Here you do have a residual value of 1,075,000. They use straight line depreciation, and both plans look at an annual rate of return of 6%. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to do the payback periods for both plans. And payback is the easiest to do. You just take whatever the initial investment is and you divide it by the annual cash flows. So for the first plan, it was $8,740,000 divided by 1 million, whoops, 8,740,000. I forgot a zero. And I'm going to divide this by 1,550,000. Actually 1,550,000. Okay, so here's my payback. Rounding is 5.6. Okay, for plan A. Plan B, it's $8,140,000 is my initial investment. Divide this by my annual cash flows of 1,050,000. Hopefully I have all of my zeros this time. And that's going to be a 7.8. So 7.8. Check my answer, and okay, I'm off to a good start. The next method is what's called the accounting rate of return. And this is where I'm going to take the annual cash flows. I'm going to subtract any depreciation if there is any, and then I'm going to divide that by the initial investment. Okay, so starting off with plan A again, I'm going to take my 1,550,000 cash flow, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to subtract the depreciation. Now you'll just have to trust me at first that my depreciation is 971,000. So this is my depreciable base is what this is called, divided by the initial investment, 8,740,000. Okay, so basically my average rate of return is going to be 6.6%. Now, just to back up a little bit for if you don't remember how to do straight line depreciation, in this case it's 7,400,000 or 8,740,000. There's no residual value, so I'm just going to divide it by 9. And that's where the 971,111 came from. Okay, Plan B. Plan B has a total of cash flows of 1,050,000. 1, 2, 3. It has depreciation of 785,000. Now I'm going to divide this by the investment of 8,140,000. Okay, so this plan B is looking at 3.3%. And of course, I'll check my answer, and it's right. Now, I'll back up if you don't remember how to do depreciation, where did I get that number? Just a reminder, when I do depreciation for Plan B, I took the $8,140,000. I subtracted the residual value. Okay, so this goes back to financial accounting. Subtract the residual value, gives me my depreciable base, divide this by the number of years, and that's where I got my depreciation. Okay, now we're going to look at the net present value. This is probably the most important of all of the uh, methods of capital budgeting. So I'm going to need my annuity factor. That'll be this one right here. And it's actually quite easy. I'm going to take the annual cash flows, which in Plan A is once again 1,550,000, and then I'm going to multiply this by the present value of annuity factor at 6% because my annual return is 6%, and then for 9 years, so it's times, if I didn't already hit the times button, times 6.802. Okay, so that's going to give me my present value of all of my cash flows. And then all I have to do from this point is subtract what the investment is. So the investment is 8,740,000. And so my net present value is going to be, and I'll use my little arrow, 1,803,100. And what does that mean? That means that I'm 1,803,000 over the 6%, which is my annual required return. So let's check my answer. Fantastic. Now, the present value for Plan B, this is going to be 1,050,000, again, the cash flow, 3 times the same present value of an annuity factor of 6.802. Okay, so there's all of my cash flows. Now, in this problem, I have a residual value. So I'm going to have to add to this 7,142,000. I probably should have done this one first. The present value of the residual value of 1,075,000, 1, 2, 3. And for that, I need the present value of a lump sum or a single dollar amount. So I'll open this up. 6%, 9 years. The present value is point, so it's going to be times 0.592. Okay, it'll equal this. And then I'm going to add the present value of the annuities that I did the first time. So that was 7,142,100. Okay, so here's all of my cash flows. Now I still have to subtract out the cost of the investment. So that's 8,140,000. And notice I have a negative number. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that I did not reach my 6% rate of return. And so normally I would automatically reject whatever that particular plan has to offer. All right, jumping ahead, I'm answering these 3 questions. The net present values based on cash flows can be used to assess the profitability, takes into account the time value of money. Okay, then the other 2, the payback method and the accounting rate of return, they do not take into account the time value of money, and it mentions the value of each one of those. Okay, so recommendation is Plan A. Okay, it has the higher net present value, and it also has the shorter payback period. So that's what you're looking for in your decision-making process. The one with the highest net present value, the shorter payback period, And if you can get an accounting rate of return, that's also fantastic. Okay, now the final question has to do with internal rate of returns. And in the real world, you would simply use your calculator or an Excel spreadsheet. But in answering questions for the test, you may have to use the calculation that they want you to do. So what we're going to do is actually work backwards, where we take the amount of the investment, and this is for the plan we chose, Plan A. We're going to divide it by the cash flows, and this is going to give our estimated amount of present value of annuity factors. So then we look across 9 years is how long this particular Plan A investment's going to last, and we go across and we see that 5.638 is between the 10% and the 12%. So we had to go under 9 years because it's a 9-year investment. And so we discover that it's between 10 and 12%. And you may have to answer a question doing that, but we did it perfectly. And so this rate basically is going to then exceed the company's hurdle rate because our hurdle rate was 6%. And so our final check says everything is great. Okay, class, hopefully that helps you, and we'll talk to you soon.